So today, what we're going to do is make a Windows 11 USB drive, so that way you can install it on this computer or whatever computer you choose fit, into a virtual machine, whatever. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is open a web browser. I always just type Windows 11 download. And I'll scroll down to this first non-ad Microsoft link. And here you're presented with two options: the Windows 11 Installation Assistant, which is pretty much for doing stuff with the machine that you're currently on, or you could create Windows 11 Installation Media, which is what we're going to do. That way we can create a USB drive that we can use to install Windows on this machine or another machine, and it's something you can just kind of keep to yourself. Click on Download Now. Okay, so up here, I can access files that have been recently downloaded. So I'm going to click Open File. Click Yes. And this process doesn't take too long, but there'll be periods of time where I fast forward the video, mainly when you see screens like this where it's just the software getting things together. Click Accept. Now here we have a screen that is asking you just two questions. Which language do you need the operating system to be in? And also, what edition of Windows do you want to install? If you uncheck this box right here, you're able to make changes, or at least to the language. You really can't do too much to the actual edition. It's the same thing if you were attempting to create installation media for Windows 10. You'll have language, you'll have the edition, which will just be Windows 10. But for the Windows 10 one, you're also able to select the architecture. So whether it's 32-bit, 64-bit, or installation media that allows for both. Here, this is simply 64-bit. So I'm just going to recheck this option to use the recommended options for this PC, and continue by clicking Next. Okay, we're also here presented with two options, whether we want to create a USB drive or an ISO file. The USB drive is what we're going to do, and as you can see, it needs to be at least 8 gigabytes in size. The ISO file would be for if you wanted to create an ISO file, something to store locally on your machine, and then to either boot that probably in a virtual machine, or to then burn it to a DVD and install Windows from there. The USB drive option is faster to create as well as faster to install from. So we're going to go with that route. I will say with the ISO file, if you're using it to boot into a virtual machine, that option is probably pretty quick as well. But the DVD itself is pretty slow. So we're going to just use the USB flash drive route. Right here, it's letting me know that there's no flash drive present. I did this on purpose, so that way if you got to this screen, you would know what to do. All you're simply going to do is plug in a USB flash drive that is at least 8 gigabytes in size. There it is. Okay. And in order for the software to see it, you must click Refresh Drive List. I know what I did wrong. I'll be right back. And in fact, that didn't work because I have not formatted the drive, and it's not online, I believe would be the appropriate term. So I'm going to create a new simple drive. This is beyond the scope of what the video should be about, but since I have the issue, I might as well just show it. Okay, that's finished. Let's click refresh drive list, and there it is. So simply, I just needed to create a simple volume. I might have said that it wasn't online, but I believe that it was. I'll do some editing, whatever. But there it is. Click next, and this is going to take some time. So it's going to go from downloading Windows 11 to, I believe, verifying the download to creating the media file or the installation media. So for this entire process, I'm simply just going to fast forward through everything. At this point, your flash drive is ready to use. So we're going to click finish, and then I'll proceed to the next part of the process. At this point, I'm going to reset the computer. Now, once the machine starts to power back up, it's very important that you start pressing the appropriate function key for your computer. I have a Lenovo, so for me, I am going to immediately start pressing F12 once the machine starts booting again. If you have a Dell, an Acer, an Asus, an HP, a machine that you might have built yourself, it's important that you go online or look at your device's instruction manual or user's manual to see what button you need to press in order to access the device's boot option menu, or in some cases, the full BIOS itself. Again, I have a Lenovo, so I'm going to be pressing the F12 button or the F12 key as soon as the computer starts booting again. Before I begin, I'd like to make it known that there are several ways you can accomplish this. You can do this from a reset, the way that I'm about to do it. You can also do it from a complete shutdown sometimes. I have noticed that, at least in Windows 10, that sometimes the default setting for power up from a full shutdown is kind of a quick boot. And in that instance, it's hard to actually access the one-time boot menu or the BIOS. So for me, I usually always do it from a restart or a reset instead of a full power down. Okay, so now we are going to start the process. I'm going to tap restart. And again, once I tap restart and I see the machine coming down, I'm going to immediately start pressing F12. That's restarting. And start pressing F12. Great. Okay, so now we have several options, and the verbiage on your machine will differ, but what I'm interested in for what we're doing here is USB. So I know that my Windows installation media is loaded to a USB drive, so that's the option that I want in order to boot from that drive. I scroll down or arrow down to it, and now I'm going to press enter. Now, if you've installed Windows 10, this should look very familiar. We're just going to go through the processes here. Language, we're going to leave as English. Time and currency format, we're also going to leave as English. Keyboard and input method, US. Of course, select whatever is appropriate for you. Click next. And there's no reason to repair the computer, so we're just going to click install now. For this particular screen, it's asking to activate Windows. Now, I will let you know that I'm not going to fully install Windows. I'm going to, or I should say, I'm not going to fully reinstall Windows. I'm going to go up to as far as I think is appropriate, and then you can go further than that. If you have a product key, this is where you would enter it. I think it's what, a 16-digit number slash item. Uh, if you don't have one, simply just click I do not have a product key, and that's what I'm going to do. So here are your options for the different versions of Windows 11. If on the previous screen, if you entered a product key, I believe you should not see this screen, simply because the product key it designates what version of Windows 11 you're using. But since I did not enter one, I have these options. I'm just going to select Windows 11 Pro. Next. Here are the applicable notices and license terms. Check this box down here. You are free to read them if you'd like. Click Next. Here are two options for you. So if I wanted to go the full way through, I could select Upgrade, and then that way this would install Windows and keep file settings and applications. The file settings and applications are moved to Windows with this option. This option is only available when a supported version of Windows is already running on the computer. So in this situation, since I have Windows 10 already on the machine, I could go that route. Usually, I do the custom install, and I didn't mean to tap it right there, but I did. And you end up with this screen. It shows that the drive is already partitioned, and it's partitioned in this way simply because Windows is already installed. If I wanted to go this route, I would end up selecting each individual partition, deleting them, and then clicking next to go forward with the installation process. Since I am not actually installing Windows or reinstalling Windows, this is where I'm going to stop. But follow the on-screen prompts and you should be good to go. Word to the wise, or maybe word from the wise, whether you're doing the upgrade or the custom, make sure you back up your files. And in fact, I probably should have said that before we even got to this screen. But very important to back up your files to the cloud, to another machine, even to this USB drive that we're using right here. There's more than, well, depending on how much stuff you have on your machine, there could be enough space on the USB drive to back up your important files there. So this is where I'm going to stop, but by all means, follow the on-screen prompts and they should be good to go, or you should be good to go.